Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Salon Talk with Nancy. I'm Nancy, and I'm your host. Thank you for joining us today, and I'm so excited. Today, I am going to be sharing and having a conversation with Lynn, who's the owner of Limitless Hair. Before I start, I do want to really point out that this whole podcast was started because of my love for the industry and my over 20 years of experience of doing anything and everything imaginable. But my main goal is to elevate, inspire, and empower the beauty professional because I truly believe that hairdressers are true superheroes. And I know a hairdresser changed my life many years ago. And if you want to learn a little bit more, watch episode 1. But I do know the power that, we have and what a responsibility that is. So with that, I've met a lot of hairdressers in the world, and not everyone has that passion. And I am so fortunate to have Lynn, my dear friend Lynn, joining us because she is the epitome of passion. So Lynn, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, as Nancy said, my name is Lynn. I have been doing hair for 24 years now. I don't know, you kind of stop counting after 20, but I know my son's
You
25,
say
so
20 plus. That's it. You
yeah,
don't even have to say the exact because.
20 years now, at 20 plus years now. I've owned my own hair salon for 11 years. I am a bridal specialist. I've been doing brides' hair since day one. I've been specializing it in probably 11 years too. I am also an educator, which is my newfound passion over the last 4 years. It's really driving me. I super love it. I'm an ambassador for Lala's Texture Iron. I also am one of Air's Pro team members, and I have won multiple hair awards.
Like so many hair awards, it's ridiculous, actually. So if anybody, Lynn is I always say she's the hidden little secret in Rhode Island, like West Greenwich, Rhode Island. Lynn is like the little hidden secret. And I've had the privilege of attending your classes, and you're a wonderful educator. And I still recommend you when people say they want to take bridal classes or grow their bridal team. I'm like, okay, you got to follow Lynn. You got to look at her links. You have to, she'll do private classes. So, okay, before we start, Lynn, your favorite part. I'm going to ask you 2 random questions so that our audience can better get to know you. Now, Lynn, you've not heard these questions, correct?
No.
Okay. Are you nervous?
Yeah. Love
Okay.
this.
I know. Okay. Let's see if I can read my chicken scratch. Okay. What is one fun, spontaneous thing that stands out in your head that you've done that you never would have expected? So one fun, spontaneous thing that you've done in life that stands out that you never would have expected to do.
I mean, I'm a super simple person and I'm not spontaneous at all. Like, I'm a planner. I have to plan everything. Like, I have
Yep.
to plan time with friends. It's like I have to prep myself.
I
Um,
know.
I, I am, I mean, one day I was like working in the yard, which so isn't like me because I think about stuff that I spend, like money that I spend. Um, I'm not spontaneous. I'm very career driven. And one day I was just cleaning the yard and I was like, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to jump on this bandwagon and join the world of technology. And I put the rake down and I went to Best Buy and I bought myself my very first computer that we're actually like talking on right now.
That's
But
right.
I know
That's right.
I know it's not like wild, but I'm not spontaneous. Like I'm a planner. So yeah,
Okay.
the computer that I'm looking at right now is part of the journey, and that was very spontaneous purchase that I was like, I have to do it.
I know. Sometimes we just have to, right? I know.
Yeah.
I need to get. I work off my iPad, and then I have my company computer, and I'm just like, I know I need to get my own computer, and it's in the making. I have to figure out, and I wish if anybody's out there, please message me that can really explain, like, I seem to be able to do everything with my iPad, like all the apps and all the editing, like all the things, and like, to do my job and to do my life, I can't really figure out what's the use of if I were to get a computer. Like, I don't understand. I can do everything from my iPad. So I'm like, I feel like I should have a computer, like personal one. I have a work one, but I mean, I can everything I do on my computer, I can do on my iPad. It's
Maybe
just
I'll go get an
it's
iPad.
so interesting to me because you can, right? All
Right.
right, all right. So I'm going to tell you because I always have to. My one spontaneous thing I did is I'm really have since my it was probably like 9 years old, 10 years old. I have been terrified of heights, and I realized that when I was trying to be wild, climbing up a side of a small cliff as a kid, and I looked down and I froze. That was the moment I realized I was scared of heights. So the one thing I did, and I feel like I was suckered into it, but I have followed through was I being scared of heights. My friend said, "Hey, you want to be part of a fundraiser and do zip lining to raise money for our chamber?" And I was like, "Oh, sure, of course." I'm like, "I'll get out of my comfort zone." It was like spontaneous. I'm like, "I'm going to say yes to this." I started raising money for it. I did not know it was off the top of Foxwood's highest building. I actually physically had to like lift my leg physically to get up to the next step because they had you get up to like so many stories and you had to go outside the building to actually climb up to the roof. And I actually was so horrifically scared. I told the lady, she was supposed to like stand at the edge and wait for your turn. I go, I'm paralyzed right now. What I want you to do is I'm going to close my eyes. You're going to guide me over there. You're going to hook me up and you're going to push me. That's what you're going to do because I'm not going back down those stairs. So that was that. Okay. Um, Oh, here's a good one. If you could switch places with one person in the world for one day, who would it be and why?
Hmm. Oh
And it,
man, they're
and
tough.
if you could go backwards in time or forward in like or be present, there's no time frame either. Because I have one in my head.
So, I would definitely want to stand in my aunt's shoes. My aunt passed probably about 7 years ago, and she was more of a mom to me.
Yeah.
She was just, I would love to stand in her shoes. She's so creative, and her mind is so creative, but it's like it was different creative than my creative. So she
Yeah.
would inspire me with my creativity. And I
Oh,
actually just did a collection, and she was the inspiration of the whole thing.
was
But
she really?
she really
Oh,
was.
I love that. That's why, and I'm not giving it away. That's you're gonna win.
Yeah.
That right there, your intention. Okay, so mine would be not so meaningful like yours. I
Uh,
actually, when I was younger, loved Laura Croft. So when I was like in my really early 20s, I used to love Tomb Raider and I used to play Tomb Raider all the time. And then when the movie came out and Angelina Jolie played it, I would want to be her for that entire time so I could pretend I was like Laura Croft at Tomb
that's
Raider.
so
That would have
funny.
been the most greatest adventure was to live out my alter ego like that and to be hot like Angelina Jolie. So I just want to point that out. That would be mine who I'd switch for the day. I'll even settle for one
I
day of
love
shooting,
that. I love,
right?
yeah, love that.
Sometimes mine are really like meaningful. Actually, a lot of times things that I say are, but sometimes they're just like an adventure. If you could,
Yeah.
like, I love these questions. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how we met, 'cause I think it's really important to people. And I'm going to say my version. You can tell your version. So, anyone that doesn't know me, I am a business consultant and I have lived many roles and worked for L'Oreal and I've worked for different brands. But in the present role, and we have to rewind though, like 8 years, I believe, or 7 years, something like that. We've probably been together like 7 years. I was a consultant for Just Rhode Island for Salon Centric. And I love meeting new hairdressers. So, people are like, oh, what do you do? I take it as I grow people. That's what I do. I grow people. So I'm always looking for salons that are looking to grow because we have so many great resources. So I walk into your original location, which was a much smaller location, and it was you and your sister, right? Was there anyone else? Did you have
No,
anyone else at that time? Karen wasn't there.
no.
So I, Lynn and I started to get to know each other, and she had made a comment that she at one time that she wanted to get a little more active on social media and grow her bridal business. And I don't even know if you had a Facebook group or if you are, I mean, a Facebook already or not. But at the time, we were offering a social media class in Massachusetts. And anybody that knows the road, us Rhode Islanders, people don't really like to drive very far. So I'm okay with that. I was going to it because I wanted to grow myself on social media. So I'm like, Lynn, this is what you are looking for. Here's a class. It's a live class. I'll drive. I have a company car. I'll drive us. And you're finally surrender to me, which I love you for doing that. Thank you. And you bought the ticket. It was like $200 ticket. So now I go, I'm going to pick you up. So I get there to pick you up. And all of a sudden you start having doubts. You're like buyer's remorse. Like, I don't know if I should go. I don't know if I can do this. I don't even know what, do you even remember why you were saying, I don't know why? I'm like, dude, I'm driving. You already bought the
I don't
ticket.
know.
Get in the car. I
I
literally was
yeah,
like, I will drag you by your hair if I have to. Get in the car. You already bought the ticket. Like, why wouldn't you go?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I still have our recording, and I swear to you, I'll probably post it as our first recording when I air this. Okay.
It's so
Because
funny.
it's so fun. So
Yeah.
fun to look back. Now you have like a zillion followers, and I can't even keep up with you if I tried. So that was the first thing. Like you had this passion, and you were totally courageous and wanted, you you do willingly go out of your comfort zone quite often, which is what I love about you, which is why you're my guest, and we're talking about this. So, um, do you want to add to our story of like your version?
I mean, that's all true.
Well, we had
It's
such a good
all
time,
very
didn't
true. We
we?
had so much fun. And I remember being
Yeah.
so nervous. Susie was with us too. We met, I don't remember if we met Susie or
Yeah,
um,
it was you and I driving, but she was up there. It was
yeah,
in
yeah.
Marble. I forget where we had it.
I just
So
remember being nervous the whole time, like butterflies in the belly and nervous
yeah,
the whole.
yeah. Well, and anyone that, again, I believe that we should be having fun while learning. Like it shouldn't be so serious. Like if sometimes people look at me and I know I make it look easy, like my job, but it's like, I have many peers across the country, and it's not easy. And because it's always evolving and changing, right? We're in a constant evolution of changing industry in the beauty industry. And I'm okay getting out of my comfort zone all the time. I just need to be okay. Like people have to be okay with me having fun while doing it, like making jokes and laughing if I screw up, not be so serious, because that's when people like that's when you actually like don't want to do it, because you're like, well, people, it's so serious. Are people going to judge me? And I'm like, sorry, but like just have fun and learn together. And
Yeah.
it's always my thing. Okay,
That
so
was
tell us.
probably one of my biggest, like, stepping out of my comfort zones, Nancy. Like, that was probably the first one. Opening my hair salon was really super huge, but through my whole life, I've always asked myself um, the question, like, before I make the move, what's the worst that can happen? If I
Yeah,
can get that answer, then I move on. But
yeah,
um, that was like super out of my comfort zone going to that class with you. It
yeah.
really,
I'm
yeah.
glad you went. We
Me
those
too.
that we all have crossroads in life, and it's like those crossroads of uncomfortableness is what, like, our choice to either
Yeah.
stay stuck and I feel like it's a hamster wheel, or to step into the blackness muck of unknown. And
Yeah.
that's the greatness. Like when that happens, when change happens, like when life rips a band-aid off you, and all of a sudden, like something's changed.
Mhm.
I've always found that to be the greatest opportunity, because you can just be whatever you want. Like nobody has any expectations, and
Mhm.
neither should you, right?
Right.
Okay, so tell us what got you into the industry. I want to know a little bit about, like, because you're
I
passionate
al-
and you're in it to win it. What got you into it?
I always wanted to do hair. Always, always, always. I was the girl that was invited to the birthday parties to do
Yeah,
this. I didn't have a lot of friends in school. So it was like nice for me to like feel wanted and needed, but I
yeah,
was really only there because they wanted me to do braids in their hair and like that. But then I was like, sheltered out. I've always had such passion for hair. Like I've always
yeah,
had my hands in hair. I always knew I wanted to do hair, but I actually had started like being part of a nursing program and looking into doing occupational therapy because my grandmother, who like was like, oh, I just love my grandmother. She didn't want me to be one of them cheap hairdressers. And that
Yeah,
I should so I didn't have the greatest support because you don't want to like let the people down that you love so much, that they just see more of you. But there's so much that this industry has to offer.
I
Um,
know.
I did stay in the comfort zone for a long time as far as like I thought I could just work behind the chair. And people that do that, like, yay, it's a really hard job. It's really hard, like I'm not putting it down, but it took me a really long time till Nancy walked in my door and was like, "Oh, look at this world of hair and all this opportunity." And um,
Yeah.
you saw
Aw.
something in me. So
Well, I was looking,
I
so
always
I was
listened.
looking for you too. You don't realize it. Like I tell people all the time, you know, there are so many peers of mine that don't like going in to meet new people, new salons, and it can be scary because they get people, always think you're trying to sell them something, and all we're trying to do is grow people, right? And I love it because whenever something like you happens, where I find it's like I find the one, right? Like in the
Uh,
Matrix, the one, which is my favorite movie ever made. Like, and they want to grow, and I see them grow, and I see them being open and just going and following what I like ask them to do blindly, and just being like, okay. And yet you lead to success every time because you don't prejudge it. You just say, okay, I'm going to do it because I trust that this is a resource, and that, I trust you as a friend. So that's so interesting. I appreciate it. It's so mutual. It's so mutual.
uh,
I was looking for you too.
uh. But yeah, always destined to do hair.
Yeah.
I wasn't meant to do anything else.
Right. Right. Um, I know. I feel the same way. I love our industry. I love every day of it. I don't even now my role is, I work with very, very elite salons, and we all have bad days. And so even I still like if I walk in and somebody just is, I never take it personally. Like if as an owner or a manager, there's a circumstance that has made you irritated, and I happen to be the first person you see, like I know I'm here to help you. I'm here to help to the best of my knowledge, make your life better, help you to, have there might be a technology class that could help you with this issue, not just hair classes. So yeah, I love every day of our industry. So you, like me, wanted to be a hairdresser or get into the industry since you were very young. Did you meet a hairdresser when you were young? Was anyone in your family a hairdresser?
Nope.
You just
No.
knew. You're like, I just want to be a hairstylist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I always knew. Like I would go with my grandmother to like her hair appointments and like organize the
yeah.
rollers and they'd give me $1.
That's
And
so cute.
I still remember it was called Hairlines, the
Yeah.
hair salon. It was like on this street that's not even a street anymore. And the woman would take me in the back and I remember she would make wigs in the back and I would watch her make the wigs. It was just always so intriguing to me as like
What town was she in?
Warwick.
In Warwick. Okay.
There's like a bank there, like a big bank there now, and
Yeah.
where all the rotaries are, and the roads have changed so much over there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So what continues to propel you in the industry? So what inspires you as you go along? So we know what got you into the industry, just your natural passion, how we met. But what is it that triggers you and propels you to continue to move forward? Because I'm going to let you start talking a little bit about your more in detail of your accomplishments. Um, you know, I'm going to say to everyone, you're very modest when you explain how many awards you've won. And Lynn has won more textured hair awards than anyone I know. And yet your hair's been straight. I'm like, and yet you love it, right? And I want
I
to,
love curly hair.
me
Favorite.
too. I do too. And I want to point out that once people like anybody that's listening that doesn't like curly hair is a fabric, and it needs such different care than straight hair, right? And if you are somebody that is actually like feeling like you've done a really great job getting where you need to be, and you're looking for a new adventure, start studying textured hair. It is mind blowing what we don't know. We don't even
Mhm.
know how to put products in it, to be honest. I remember taking one of the best classes I ever took was a We Dad live We Dad class, or one of our partners. And I used to be an educator and, used to have to teach color and all sorts of stuff. And I stood up in that class because I felt like I knew nothing. When she started talking about hair and texture and products and diffuse, even how you diffuse and how you lay the product. I actually was so excited. I stood up, I go, I just want you to know, I feel like I know nothing. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I go, no, it's a good thing. You don't understand. This is the greatest class I've taken in forever. It was such a great class. So curly hair, people, curly hair, textured hair. What propels you? So something keeps continuing to propel you. What is it? Because you just keep going and going and going. So between
Uh,
multiple one shot awards, multiple texture awards, you know, you've got a
yeah.
lot
So
done. What
I have
propels?
placed in one shots. I've never won a one shot, but it's funny because it's funny what drives me, right? Like one shot, I'm recognized in one shot. Um, I I don't I don't know how to like word it, but like I'm less motivated with competitions that end in a popularity contest,
Yeah,
where competitions like NAHA is not a popularity contest, but it is the most prestige hair award, right? In hairdress.
yeah,
What propels me? You say I'm derailing. What propels me? So, I open. I'm always like looking for my next adventure, really, Nancy. Like I opened my hair salon, and then I started taking bridal more serious and posting about it. My bridal amped up, and then I started. It's never enough, right? Like average, like
I do
putting
know.
up
Yeah,
there on social media. Now you have to learn photography. Now you have to learn, you know, I just I just remember wanting more. I got sick of being the person sitting in the audience. And again,
yeah,
there's nothing you can learn so much being in the audience, but I was the person sitting in the audience watching the educator going, I wish I could do that. I wish I could be that someday. And instead of like sitting there going, I wish, I wish, I wish, I guess what propelled me, what keeps propelling me is like, what are the steps that I need to do to get there? And
exactly. So that same thing with me. When I first got into the industry, I think it was like 3 months into it, and I saw my first educator come in, and I literally went into my manager's office. I said, in 5 years, I'm not going to be here. And she kind of chuckled at me. And I'll look back and go, I was pretty bold. And she goes, really, Nancy, where are you going to be? I go, I'm going to be traveling and I'm going to be teaching people just like her. So it's the same thing. I saw it and I'm like, oh, I want
yeah,
to do that. Right.
yeah.
I want to grow
So
people. I want to know what she knows.
yeah, so in order to do that, like what did I have to do to get there? So I started this
Yeah.
thing called Model Mondays where I would go
Right.
into the salon, not every Monday, guys. Whoever's watching this, like not every Monday. I'm not saying like, don't just do hair. Maybe like once a month I would go in, I would plan wardrobe, I would be inspired by a look. Um, and I started with just mannequin heads, but now I've like grown with models. I have real
Yeah.
models into the salon. I have wardrobe. I do their hair, and their hairstyles usually inspired by a song that I heard or something nature outside, and
Yeah.
I get to just like grow it and build it in that moment, and really push myself and step out of the box and put what people would think like not the everyday look on, just to like push
Yeah.
myself and like give like wow. So I started doing those model Mondays, and I started sharing, and they started getting shared and recognized and entered them in a it just like I entered them in competitions. It just it just snowballed, and it opened a whole nother world. But my point is it didn't come to me. I had to
Yeah.
work very, very hard to get where I am. And last year, it was at the International Beauty Show that I was sitting in the audience, and who was I? Whose class was I taking? I think it was Philip Wolf's class. I think Philip Wolf
Yeah.
was teaching
Yeah.
for Matrix, I believe. I
Yep.
believe. I
He
was,
was with Matrix he last year or earlier this year, he made an announcement just because that's one of our brands. And
yeah,
he made an announcement that he went over to K18. But
yeah,
it makes sense, yeah, because his
yeah.
part is there. Yeah.
And I remember like thinking so I've done all this hard work. I think that was 2019 that I had wished that. And um, then last year I taught my first three classes at the International Beauty Show. It was amazing. It was really,
Aw,
so
I love it.
yeah.
So really what propels you is it's actually interesting
It's
because
always pivoting, Nancy.
it
Like what
is.
is
You
always
see
pivoting.
something that inspires you, you're like, that's how I swear this we're soul sisters, girl, because same thing. I see something in our industry, I'm like, I can do that, I can do that, or I don't know how to do that. I want to learn because I want to be I am an industry expert. Like if something's changing or I need to learn how to do it. And it's same thing. So most people get scared and the first thing they think when they look up at somebody on stage is they go, I could never do that because they think they're not good enough.
Right.
And I
But
want
it's
to
like most of America, right, Nancy? Like most of America, they go to their jobs, they don't like their jobs, or they're
yeah,
okay. They work
yeah.
9 to 5, and they're happy with it. And then there's
They're
people like us,
because they
and there's
don't know
nothing wrong with it.
there's nothing wrong with it, but they do what they think they have to do. And love my husband. He's very much like that. Like he's been, he's a business owner and it's interesting. He's come so far of getting out of his comfort zone because he's been around me for so long now. And what makes me want to vomit is the fact if I had to do the same thing over and over again every day, I'd be so unhappy. I don't even know what I would do. I'd feel trapped like a wild animal.
You know what I think
So
locks people in that too is the fear, Nancy. The
yeah,
fear
it's
of
fear.
like, yeah. So
Fear, it's mainly fear of failure, fear of disappointment, fear. It's definitely lack of belief in themselves. And here's the thing, and I don't blame people because I had a mindset too. Our parents teach us, right? We're born, it's a clean slate, and then our parents teach us things. And they're
yeah,
doing the best that they can, or the people around us are doing the best that they can because they care about us. And they
yeah,
want us to be stable and secure and fit into society. But then there's those few, like there's like this 20% of people that just like you can't keep them in a box and they can be the most unexpected people that that they need to, like they want to learn more, they want to grow, and you're one, I'm one. Like I actually feel physically like I'm in a box if my company that I'm working with wants me to do the same thing over and over again. Like I actually am like, I can't do it. So I'm the one that's like, nobody else has a podcast. Like, I'm always trying something new to be able to touch another professional in the industry with a resource and information because, as an educator like yourself, you love to learn. So what's the number one thing you want to share, right?
yeah.
We want to
I
share. We
love
want everyone to feel the way we feel about this. So I get
And
you, girl.
the Model Mondays, like with doing the Model Mondays, also like you learn from other people, but by doing the Model Mondays and pushing myself, I'm learning my own techniques, what works best for
Yeah.
me, so then
Yeah.
I'm able to share like stuff that works for me. Like this worked for
Yeah.
them, works for
And
me.
I've taken one of your bridal classes and I learned so much, even just how to put pins in. Like we think we know how to put pins in and we don't. And I'm like, was disgusted with myself. I'm like, how do I not know how to put a pin in? I have a bridal business. I was like, oh, that makes sense, Lynn. Thank you for sharing. And I'm just prepping the hair. And it's funny because I do run behind because I like prep the hair. It's all about prepping the hair. So when I put it together, it flows together so much easier. But I do run behind. Like I'm like,
You'll
I'm
get it.
an
You'll
hour
get
ahead, an hour a person because I want to prep your hair correctly, especially if you have skinny hair. Okay. What is something you're currently doing now to get out of your comfort zone? Tell us a
Ooh.
little something about what you're currently doing.
So the last 6 months, all right, so I always had this like dream of working with Ruth Roach. Ruth
Yep.
Roach is a global artist for Redken, and she's a multi-NAHA winner. I always talked about it. I talked to like other people in the industry about it. She's so inspiring to me, right?
Yeah.
So she had launched this thing that she was looking to mentor 10 hairstylists, and she was taking applications. So I filled
Yeah.
out my application, I chickened out, and then um, one day I was like, "Ah, forget it, I'll send it in." I forgot all about it. I'm telling you the short version. I
Yeah.
forgot
Yeah.
all
That's
about it.
okay.
She sent me a message and said, "Lynn, I thank you so much for filling out the application." I thought she was gonna be like, but like it sounded like it was going another way. And she's like, "I'm so excited to let you know I've chosen you as one of the 10 mentors, the
Yeah.
10 mentees." So I have been working with Ruth Roach for the last 6 months. Through that, I had been working on a hair collection called Wild Bloom that was inspired by my earlier conversation. My aunt, like, it was all inspired by like a color of a flower, a flower shape, or it was all
Aw,
inspired by her. So, um, that's actually something I'm like, I did share that with Ruth actually, but um,
right.
so
Which is why
didn't
you're
share.
gonna win.
Yeah, I didn't share it with many. So, yeah, I built this collection, and then that door opened up an opportunity to go to New York and meet Ruth. She picked out my models. Well, we picked them out together. She
Yeah.
pulled a team together with wardrobe specialist, makeup artist, the photographer, Joseph Cartwright, who is an amazing photographer. And we photographed my very first Naha collection.
I
So
love it.
I'm so excited. I really love it. The deadline was on November 6th. So I was like shaking the butterflies in the belly as I'm entering it. And I entered. And now the finalists will be announced on February 23rd, which is my grandmother's birthday. I'm
No,
just, yeah. Yep.
I love it.
Winners are June 1st, and my birthday's June 3rd. So all this like really great stuff. But at the end
So
of the
when
day,
you win, I
when
want
I
to go.
win,
You have to let me know. I need to go. I'm flying down. It's in Florida, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And I'll
So,
go to it. I'll go.
uh,
I've been
I'm
waiting for a reason to go. I'm so proud of you. I can't even say it enough.
Aw.
I'm going to be like, I knew her when.
No.
No, I feel so blessed in our industry. I always say, people do not realize um, who I have the privilege of working with. It's like amazing. It's amazing. Like, oh, and remember Samantha that you mentored for bridal,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
she's an educator now for We Dad and Bioionics.
Yeah, I
And
saw that. I saw
yeah,
that.
she's going
Um,
to be on my show. She's coming Friday to do a recording, and we're going to talk about
she,
textured hair.
oh, she's super sweet. Her children have this like beautiful curly hair.
I know.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
she's really
she's got a good story, and she happened to have gone to school, hairdressing school, with my daughter, and she has a good story. She just
she
does.
has
She's
the
same
drive.
thing, following her passion, and I'm
Yeah.
so proud of her too. I've seen her grow up, and I want to cry every time I see her. I'm like, I love you. Okay, so what advice would you have for new stylists? So if I'm a new stylist or I'm a stylist that's stagnant in the industry, give some advice to help somebody, that might be going into this with like good intentions or good goals, or they just have found themselves stuck. We all, like, everyone had a dream when they went into this industry. Hopefully it was a positive one. But do you have any advice for
Yeah,
somebody?
yeah. I have tons of advice, but I'll keep it simple. Don't sit in the box. Like, don't, if you're in the box and you're looking on the outside of the box going, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. That one inspires me. Step out of the box, get out of your comfort zone, break through that fear, and put yourself
Yeah,
in the people that inspire you, and you will grow, you will learn, and you can go and explore the industry. There is so much this industry has to offer,
I
so
agree.
so don't
So many
sit in the
career
box.
opportunities.
Yeah.
One time I happened to be I was at our local Home Goods, and I was minding my business looking for like towels or sheets or something for our Airbnb. And I heard a woman and her daughter talking, and the daughter was saying, well, I really want to go to hairdressing school, but I don't know. Everyone's telling me I won't make any money. Now, her mom's like, well, honey, you got to do what you want, what you feel passionate about, maybe, and so anyways, her people around her were telling her she's not going to make any money. She needs to go to college. But I heard her saying, but I love doing hair. I just want to go to hairdressing school, mom. I don't want, I can go to college later on, which I did that. I went to hairdress. I mean, I went to college as an adult and so proud of myself. Never thought I would do it. Got a bachelor's grade. Yes. So you're never too old, never too old. So I just felt compelled and I went down the aisle and I said, please forgive me. I was not eavesdropping, but I heard part of a conversation and it triggered me because you're talking about my industry. And I introduced myself and explained to her bullet point what I've done and how well the industry has served me with just a hairdressing license. That was even before I went to school to move over to the business side. And the happiness that I've experienced, and I gave them an idea of, the income that I've been able to make all off of this license. And I said, I really hope that this has helped because somebody that doesn't understand, they're outside looking in and they have never explored, going to a really professional hairstylist. So, there's somebody for everybody out there. There's some people that are passionate. They just want to do a more mature clientele and they want to, do whatever they do. And there's some people that want to be blonding specialists, some people, whatever. We go to hairstylists that are like us, right? Like attracts like. So I thought it was really interesting to hear that people were influencing us. So again, to my point was people live these 9 to 5 jobs that they don't necessarily like because somebody around them with good intentions. And that was my point. It's like that our family loves us and they're trying to help us, but the reality is true. Where does true happiness live? You're living it. Where does it live?
Where does true happiness
live? Yeah, where does true happiness live for you?
I love my job. I love my family. I love what I do. I can't imagine doing something I didn't like every day.
Yeah. I tell my kids, follow your passion. You will find a way to make money doing it. So true happiness to me.
And you'll never feel like you worked either.
I never feel like I'm working.
Yeah, what would you do for free? Like if you just ask somebody, anybody, what would you do for free? Okay, well, that's what you need to chase. Is it photography? Is it, is it art? You need to chase that and find how you can make that your career and that will bring you will be happy and you'll never feel like you worked a day in your life.
When you're living your purpose, you are true happiness. And to me, that true happiness lives in the industry that I'm passionate about. So in my passion, but it is also I continue to be happy when I continue to choose to step into my uncomfort zone. Like when I choose to allow myself to be uncomfortable and learn something new, I'm truly happy because I know I'm growing. And we're meant to expand and to learn, and learning sometimes, especially when you're reading, you're trying to I just remember trying to learn something and it's makes my head hurt, right? And there's a reason for that. You're actually the neurons, you're whatever. I'm not a brain specialist, but when you're actually learning and your head hurts, there's something happening in your brain. Super interesting. And but that's once you get past that, now you've become something more. You have a new skill that you can learn, whether it's that challenging yourself to do a naha, or you just continue to do something. You took photography classes, and I just love it. So my suggestion or something I want to say is, if people are looking for change in their life, or they're finding complaints and a life of living stagnant, your life is never going to change until you step out of your comfort zone, because life begins right past it. The second you step into that uncomfort zone, that is when life is beginning. And I really want to point that out for people because I think it's so important. But I'm so thankful that you joined me today, Lynn. I appreciate you.
I have one more thing to say about it. Yeah, one more thing, because I think it's very valuable, right? So fear holds people back. They're so afraid of going through the fear because they're afraid to fail. but
Yeah. Or
failure
to be judged or to be whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
But failure is the greatest spot to be in because
Yeah.
that's your growth. So
Yeah.
I have failed. There have been Model Mondays that I've went in and I'm like, this is awful. But I grow so much from that. And
Yeah.
I pull through even stronger. Like I'm
Yeah.
even stronger. So failure, don't be afraid of failure because failure is going to equal growth. That's where you're
Yeah.
going to grow in your failure. So if I could suggest anything, like don't be afraid to like go through that feel, and then you will grow from it. You know, like you got to
Yeah.
do those steps. You got to do it.
So I also tell my daughters that I'm a plethora of like one sentence inspirational quotes. I've told them if you're going to fail, fail forward.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yes.
if you're
Yes.
going to fail, fail forward. And
Yes.
anytime something doesn't go the way I planned it, I go, what did I learn? What did I learn? That's the first thing I ask myself. And then I'm like, and it makes me think. And instead of dwelling in the fact that it didn't come out the way I wanted or it failed, right?
Mhm.
I go, what did I learn? And that's how you should look at a situation. Like, I think many of our like amazing scientists in the world have failed thousands of times, but they've all learned something from it. It may not have been what they were looking to achieve. They've actually found good successes in between, but they learned and they learned and they learned, and that's what got them to where they need to be. So I believe setting a goal. I'm all about the vision board and not having the courage versus fear for sure. Like, to move forward and try something new. You'll have fun. And you're going to find like-minded people when you're
Mhm.
doing it.
Yeah.
Like-minded people that hopefully you can laugh while you're learning like you and I did. And I'm totally posting our video. Just, I have it. Remember we were first
Oh
walking the
boy.
building, we did a little lot, like a little
Yes.
video.
Oh, it was so nervous.
It was so fun, but we did it together, which made it fun. I was getting out of my comfort zone too. I wanted to learn. I'm like, well, let's do it together. I have such a mindset about that. I'm like, if we're gonna learn, let's just do it together.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I want to just speak to our audience. If you like this podcast, please make sure you share it with other hairstylists, share it with your friends. This is about elevating our beauty professionals, but also to grow them personally, not just professionally. I believe that you have to have this balance because growth starts from within. And make sure you share it and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you win the NAHA that I know you're going to win, and I'm going to be there. Is there any last words before we say goodbye to our friends?
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all. Thank you so much, Nancy. I really
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, and thank you. I will see you soon. Bye.